Hi, I'm Meg. Welcome back to another Tuesday tutorial. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be showing you how to make content. I'm going to be just describing what you need in order to make an interactive floor. At LUMOplay, we don't sell the hardware. We believe that it's much better for both the local economy and the environment if you source your hardware locally and you get a local installer if you're going to hire an installer. We will work directly with anyone that you want to work with. You can introduce them to us. We'll walk them through exactly what equipment they need to get and how to choose the right equipment for your project and budget. We do everything that we can to make this as simple as possible. I know there are a lot of other companies on the market that sell turnkey systems. The downside to that is you're essentially paying for your equipment twice at least. The manufacturer is taking a cut, the person who's selling to the distributor is taking a cut, and then whoever is selling you the final product is taking a cut. And we don't really want to do that. So we're kind of cutting out the middleman a little bit and also allowing you to shop around so that you can choose the equipment that is the best fit for your project, which isn't always the case with these turnkey systems. The other issue with turnkey systems is a lot of times in order to maximize their revenue, companies who sell all-in-one interactive projectors with the software they'll use hardware that's not necessarily the best hardware on the market, and they'll also they usually won't be very good at software. Being able to source and distribute physical products is an entirely different business model than being able to create and support software long term. So we decided to focus just on the software and to make our lowest cost tier available at cost to make it as affordable as possible for schools and not-for-profits to install interactive floors and walls into places like classrooms and hospitals and not-for-profit organizations like libraries. And we do everything we can to eliminate the guesswork and make it as easy as possible for you to install this yourself. LUMOplay has been around for 14 years and we have a lot of experience installing and supporting these types of installations. So any questions you have, leave them in the comments, send us an email at info@lumoplay.com and we'll be happy to answer them. Now let's just get started with how you will choose your equipment and install it if you're doing an interactive floor. So the first thing you're going to want to do if you're installing an interactive floor is understand what your needs are. How big is this display going to be? How high is your ceiling? How bright is your environment? These are all questions that you need to ask yourself when you're planning to put in an interactive floor. Some things to keep in mind is that interactive floor experiences are suitable for a lot of environments, but they're not suitable for outdoors unless you're willing to invest in a very, very expensive high brightness LED floor. This is something that most companies can't do. So if you are planning to install your floor outside at an event, keep in mind it's going to work at night and when it's dark, unless you have it covered with a blackout tent. If you're installing an interactive floor right next to large exterior windows, you may also run into some problems. The equipment that's used to make the interactive floor interact is typically IR cameras. There are some other options on the market, but again, this drives up the cost. So we typically recommend to people that they choose an environment that is protected from direct sunlight and where the lighting is controlled. You don't want to have spotlights or things moving around too much on your floor. If you're doing something in an event like a club or a party, that's fine because chances are you're not going to be installing high accuracy games. In this case, you're going to be doing ambient effects. And so if the camera glitches out just a tiny bit while people are dancing on the floor, they're really not going to notice. But if you are installing this in, a hospital or a school or a place where you want the game to work consistently, then you also would probably do better with consistent lighting. Regarding the flooring surface that you're projecting on, we typically recommend a matte, light-colored vinyl flooring, but you can certainly project on carpeting or light-colored wood or any other type of surface. Concrete looks pretty cool. What you want to avoid is patterned textures or any kind of flooring where it's like high pile carpeting, or it's going to diffuse the light from the projector and make the image blurry. If you are looking for the best flooring, what I use is light gray marley floor. It's something that is sold by dance studios, and it's pretty easy to get. And one of the things I like about it is because it's designed for stages and sometimes for touring shows, it rolls out really flat and it comes with matched color tape so that you can secure it to the floor. And because it's designed for dance, it's very durable. So it's easy to clean and it doesn't get scuffed up nearly as easily as, you know, some of the cheaper vinyl flooring that you can buy at a flooring store. We have an article that can help you choose a projector, and we recommend specific brightnesses for specific environments. That will be linked in the description of this video, but the most important things to consider when you're choosing your projector are the lighting requirements, the lumens, the lens type, the aspect ratio, the throw ratio, the resolution, and the orientation, where you're putting the projector, whether or not you're mounting it to a wall or to a ceiling. How is that light going to fly? If it's something where you want to eliminate as many shadows as possible, you'll also want to make sure that you're choosing a projector that is not an ultra short throw or something with a really wide throw, because that's going to cast bigger shadows. So all of these things are things to keep in mind. Check out the article that's linked below for very specific information about each of these things that you need to consider. In short, what I typically tell people is, in something like a school environment, you're fine with an office projector. So something that's in the $1,000 to $2,500 range is going to do just fine in a school. If you're going into a high brightness environment like a trade show, you definitely want to get something brighter, usually at least 4,000 lumens, if not higher. In malls where there's a lot of lighting, you're sometimes looking at something that is in the 7,000 to 10,000 lumen category. So again, it's really helpful to work with an installer or somebody who's familiar with this technology, because they can come in with a light meter and they can really refine what your options are and explain to you how it's going to look before you make your purchase. The projector is the most expensive part of your installation, so it's worth making sure that you're happy with it. And then the last consideration is the lamp technology in your projector is going to make a big difference when it comes to future costs. So some of the different options that are available nowadays in projectors include laser, LED, laser LED hybrid, and lamp technology. I usually tell people to avoid lamp projectors because the lamp itself needs to be replaced and it won't have a long life, and the projector itself is going to get hotter and use more energy overall. So even though some of the lamp projectors, especially in the lower categories like office projectors, are a lot cheaper, they're really not going to save you money in the long term because they're going to burn out quicker, and the lamps themselves can sometimes cost $300-400 to replace, and you're also sometimes paying for that labor. So definitely look at LED or LED laser hybrids, or even laser projectors if you can, and look for something that has a good maintenance time. So something that you're not going to have to change the filters super often, and it's not going to draw a lot of energy. So there are essentially 3 different kinds of interactive floors: wall-mounted, ceiling-mounted, and portable. I'm going to talk a little bit about each type of installation. For all 3 of the installations, the equipment that you'll need is the same. So you're going to need a projector, you're going to need some kind of a mount for your projector, you're going to need a 3D camera, you'll need some kind of mount for your camera as well, and then you're going to need a Windows computer that meets our minimum specifications, which are linked in the description below, as well as all of the cables, HDMI cables and power cables, and some sort of a control device like a wireless keyboard. Most of this stuff is very, very affordable and very easy to source locally. You can buy it all at Best Buy. The only exception is the 3D camera itself may be something that you have to order directly from the company, We have a list of the supported cameras for LUMOplay available on our site with direct links to the companies that manufacture those cameras. These links are not Amazon links, these are links to the manufacturer directly, because it is really good for you to establish a relationship with the camera provider if you can, especially if you're doing a large commercial project. The camera companies that we recommend are all companies that we have a direct relationship to, so if something happens to your camera and you need us to escalate support, you can reach out to us and we have a contact that we can get in touch with. Connecting the equipment for all three types of installations is fairly straightforward. You're just going to connect your camera to your computer and your projector to your computer and then turn the whole thing on. And then when you launch LUMOplay, it will detect the camera and you will be able to calibrate your system so that the camera is tracking the projection area accurately. In most cases, you're going to be mounting the camera and the projector relatively close to one another, and the computer should also be close by. You can use USB extension cables to extend the length between the camera and the computer, but we don't typically recommend this because there is signal loss and you're using that camera for live motion capture, so you really want it to be as fast as you can possibly make it. For a wall-mounted system, the camera is still going to be on the ceiling. Cameras typically only weigh a couple grams, so it's not going to be a really heavy thing, but you do want to have the camera, if possible, on the ceiling centered over your projection area. If that's not possible, you can mount the camera to the wall and have it capture the area at a bit of an angle, but the two things we recommend if you're going to do that is have the camera as high up and far away as possible to kind of mitigate for that angle, because that is going to create some distortion in your tracking. And schedule a remote calibration session with us. It costs $50. We'll remote into your system and we'll make sure that it's calibrated as well as possible for your unique setup. The computer and the projector can both be mounted to the wall in a wall-mounted setup. And basically, you're going to want to make sure that you choose a projector that has what's called a 50% displacement or higher. So you don't want a projector that shines the beam out evenly like a flashlight. You want a projector that is designed usually for a table, where the bottom of the image is in line with the lens of the projector or even a little bit higher. Because what that's going to allow you to do is create a very square image without a lot of loss for keystoning on the floor, even though the projector is off to the side of the image. Also keep in mind that in this configuration, the shadows are going to fall away from the wall. So you definitely want to set up your display so that the bottom of the game is facing the furthest angle of the projector. So if you're looking at the projector on the wall, the bottom of the game should be near your feet. That means that any game that is designed to be played with feet along that long side, the shadows are going to fall behind the player. What you want to avoid is the bottom of the game being closer to the wall, because that's going to create shadows that are going to interfere with gameplay for some of the games and experiences that we offer. Now, obviously, all of this equipment is going to require power, so you will need access to an outlet that has at least two plugs. You'll need one for the computer and one for the projector. The cameras themselves are typically powered by the computer, so they're powered through USB, which is another reason that using a USB extension cable can be a bit tricky, because you'll need to get a powered extension. We do have an article linked below on how to choose a USB extender for your system, but again, this is something that you have to do at your own risk, and not all cables are created equally, so it is much better to keep all of your equipment in one place. A ceiling-mounted projection system is pretty similar, except that the projector is mounted to the ceiling, and usually the computer and the camera are also mounted to the ceiling, all close together. You can get specialty mounts where you can attach all of your equipment to the same mount, or you can just use the mount that comes with your computer. If you're using a digital signage computer, it'll come with a small mount that you can ceiling or wall mount very easily, and usually the computer will slide on and off of the mount very easily so you can service it. In a ceiling mounted system, getting the projector and camera as close together as possible is going to give you the best tracking results. For a portable system, using an ultra short throw is acceptable. It is going to cast weird shadows, but the compromise is that you'll be able to move it around. I'm going to link to a detailed description about how to set up an interactive portable floor, but basically, whether you're using a turnkey system or you're setting up a LUMOplay system, the way that these portable systems work, it means you have to calibrate them when you move them. So if you're using a portable system for an event, that's totally fine. If you're setting up a portable system in a school or a library and you're expecting teachers to recalibrate the system every time they move it, that's something that you're going to have to provide training for. It's not difficult, especially if your setup is pretty much the same every single time, but it is an extra step and it's something that you have to be aware of. When you're setting up a portable system, there are a few extra components that you're going to need. The ultra short throw projector will cast a very large image from very, very close to the ground. So if you use that, you'll be able to avoid having to mount the projector to a wall or to a ceiling, but you are still going to need some sort of a stand for it. We use a road case for our portable system that was custom designed to keep our projector exactly the right distance from the floor so that we had the same size of image every time we set it up. The road case also doubles as a place to store all of our additional cables. It has a little cable management system built right into it. You're going to need a boom mic stand or something similar to put your camera on because the camera still needs to be centered above the projection. There are some cameras on the market that you can position closer to the floor and they'll do pretty good tracking, but they're very expensive. If this is something that you're interested in doing, please contact us first so that we can take the measurements of the system you're trying to create and recommend the best camera for you. So aside from the stand and the boom arm that's holding the camera, you'll also probably want to get something that affixes the projector to your stand so that if you're using this in an environment where people are dancing or running around, your projector is not in danger of falling off of that stand while people are playing. Some optional equipment for a portable system include white foam interlocking floor tiles. These are very portable, they're very light, you can tie them together and move them around, and that will ensure that wherever you're taking your portable system, it's going to look good when you project on that floor. Once again, if you have any questions or you want to leave a comment on this video, any sort of engagement really helps us out. I don't want to be one of those like and subscribe and smash that notification bell type of people because it just feels weird and forced, but it really does make a difference, especially to a company like ours, which is just a small group of people that really believe in what we're doing. We don't have much of a marketing budget, and we don't want to charge more in order to hire a sales team and a marketing team and all of that. We prefer to work with a smaller group of customers that we find organically who are actively looking for what we do. So if you can share the video, if you can engage with it in any way, just click the like button. That really helps us. If you have any questions, info@lumoplay.com. I'm Meg. I'll be back in 1 week on Tuesday for the next Tutorial Tuesday.